We in the Progressive Caucus believe, and many of us were signatories and co-sponsors of H.R. 676, which is a single-payer bill or health care for all, Medicare for all. But I want to say personally that I think that today that this is a dramatic step forward in the quest to make sure that all Americans are covered and can go to the doctor.
This issue of health care reform is one of the defining issues in our country. And it's one that we finally grappled with in 2010 to come up with a bill that not everyone agreed with. As a matter of fact, as Mr. Ellison will remember, I didn't agree with this. I was not satisfied with health care reform within the context of a for-profit system, because I want a not-for-profit system. Affordable Care Act finally took a step in a direction of reform. Now, it's an important step, and the Supreme Court has said you can do that under Congress's taxing authority. But it's just a step, and all of us understand that there's still millions of Americans who are finding health care out of reach, even with the help that the Affordable Care Act offers. And that's why at the state, there are still states, such as Vermont, that are looking as to how they can go forward with a single-payer plan within their state.
Would the gentleman yield for a moment?
Yes, I yield.
Let me just ask the gentleman a question. You had an amendment that we were trying to move on to the Affordable Care Act, which would allow states, if they chose to pursue alternatives like a single-payer system. Do you recall your amendment? What were some of the things
well,
that
what
were
we're looking at,
you?
we keep in mind that the Employee Retirement Income Security Act essentially would stop states from going forward. So we asked basically a waiver of that. And the amendment would have provided for a waiver so states would have no legal bar to pursue a single-payer system. That was essentially passed in committee and then stripped out. But the point is, we can enable that. Congress can facilitate that. And the passage of Affordable Care Plus, the Supreme Court saying Congress can't move on health care. Congress can take a step.
Yep.
Finally puts us in a position where we can elevate health care to the highest level of public concern. And so I think that we need to recognize that we've taken a big step here. And as someone who wasn't sure at first, as someone who, in a sense, reluctantly voted for the Affordable Care Act on the hope that by proving we could have reform within the context of a for-profit system, that it would open the door for further reforms, I'd say this is a great day. It shows that it's possible to reform that for-profit system, and I'm hopeful, as we're celebrating today, we look down the road to what we're going to do in the future, which is to restart our efforts here, restart the effort for single-payer, knowing what you have now is the government finally taking the side of the people and putting us in a position where we now are able, with integrity and with drive, to move towards a future where someday we're going to keep working for that single-payer. So we need to realize that we've taken a step in the direction of a substantial support for the American people and their health care with the Affordable Care Act, but it's not the final step. Again, I am here to share with you, Mr. Chairman, my willingness to continue the effort towards a universal, single-payer, not-for-profit health care. And you know what? Now that we have proven that reform of health care is possible, now that we have proven that health care is no longer the third rail of American politics, now that we have proven that the court will uphold an effort by the Congress to move towards health care reform, well, now that we've proven that, we can say it is possible to go to a place where we can have health care for all under a not-for-profit system. I yield.